hurting me and they're hurting my friends and they're hurting my family. They're calling my friends and family. They're calling previous investors. They're calling previous coworkers. They're calling previous girlfriends who I had to try to find some kind of dirt on me to make me a woman beater or an abuser or a drug abuser or an animal abuser. And then they're making up lies about me saying I sold drugs, and I've never sold drugs in my life. So it's just crazy. And by the way, if there's rumors about you on the internet that you sold drugs and it's going around the internet, that hurts you for a very, very long time. If you raise money in the 6 and 7 figures and there's rumors all over the internet that you are run Ponzi schemes and you rip people off, that will hurt me for the rest of my life. It'll hurt me for the rest of my life, no matter whether I like it or not. There's investors now who I'm hurt that this whole thing has hurt me, literally hurt my reputation, my brand, my image. Everything about me is hurt based on a bunch of people who are talking heads going, well, I've read some interesting documents, but I can't prove anything. I can't get a victim up here, but I'm telling you the truth. Just take my word for it. And that's defamation. And so that's the reason. And then there's a couple other things we're adding to that as we continue down the line. I can't say much else, but we have a couple surprises for them. I told you it's a 3-prong attack. So there's 2 more prongs to go. Tomorrow, the 2nd prong drops. And then after that, there'll be a 3rd prong. And I'm not going to stop until I take these people down. And not just the people here. There's people all over the country who I'm going to take down. Because I just can't allow this. I just can't allow this,
Absolutely amazing. The aggressor, the instigator, the threat maker claims to be the victim. We could pause here and see what the judge had to say about your criminal record from your Memorial Day weekend, June 12 hearing, which, by the way, the ex parte hearing you illegally recorded, Chilito. The following hearing with the judge when you didn't get your emergency ex parte order. The following hearing with the judge didn't buy your bullshit either. Then, I'm sure everybody knows by now, you took Josh Abrams and Kate to court, and what you took Kate to court for was already ruled on the Memorial Day weekend ex parte and then the follow-up hearing with the judge. So you're relitigating things you've already litigated. It just shows your ignorance. You're a constitutional law scholar who cannot function in the arena of law. Hence the old adage, those who can do, those who can't teach. That's why you're a pseudo-history teacher. And we'll have a lot to say about your teachings in the future because they're rife with error. And some of them you say, this Supreme Court hearing says X, and it doesn't say X at all. It says A, the opposite end of the spectrum. So let's hear what the judge has to say here.
And you have a record for harassment and stalking. You were charged with disorderly conduct, a series of things in the 90s in Ohio?
No, in the 90s in Ohio.
1993? Are you Jose Maria de Castro?
Yes, 1993, yes.
With a date of birth of 9/11/74?
Yes.
Okay, so there's an entry, 1993. 2002, possession, sale of narcotics, manufacture of controlled substances. It says drug court deferred, judgment term successful. 2016, there was a threat to commit a crime with intent to terrorize. And then in 2022, March 29th, trespassing.
So the whole can't produce a victim. The whole can't produce a victim. Maybe the parties are protecting the victims because some of the things you do are pretty heinous. The threats, the rest of the nonsense. Blue Bacon actually did a broadcast and read off an email exchange between you and some girl you knew from your hometown who was employed with your mother, and you were sending back and forth harassing messages. Stupid stuff like your daddy is in the cartel and he's going to come up from South America for a fishing trip. Bro, if you were associated with any people like that, they would be thumping the tar out of you for having said that. Everything about you is fake. Except the victims. They're real. And the reason why the names of the victims aren't being released by the people who have the information about how you victimize, threat, and harass other people, probably the reason they don't release their identities, the identities of the victims, is because they don't want to instigate you to starting up shit with these people again. Because like your neighbor Dan said when you were shacked up in your mother's garage, people are afraid of you, Chile. You come off like you're psychotic. You come off like you're psychotic. I watch you. I watch the things you say. I watch the things you do. And I worry for the people who dare expose the ignorance that you have. I worry for them. I'm going to help them out. I'm going to introduce them to a friend of mine who's in law enforcement. A 3-letter agency, Chilito. So your state-to-state hopping won't help you. You want to file a federal tort lawsuit? I'll call a federal friend. Play your games, because the people who are interested in protecting and maintaining free speech, even when it's unpopular speech, yeah, we get it, you don't like it. You don't like when the truth is told about you. But that's the remedy to con men and grifters. Expose their doings. Another thing, Chilito, you're making a victim out of yourself. You abuse yourself with the dumb things that you do. File a federal tort legal action against Kate. Go into federal court and represent yourself. And I don't know how many of you listening are familiar with Kim Blandino, but you might want to go to Our Nevada Judges or over to Law Talk with Mike, who did a few interviews with Kim Blandino, who was an extremely likable guy. But he abused the legal system. Little Chilito, you're not likable in any way. And we'll address that from some of the stuff that's lingering still on TikTok about you. Your 48 laws for power, or of power, whatever the title of that coloring book nonsense is. I see which ones of those rules you employ. You're not what you present yourself to be. And as far as being an agent of change goes, you're not promoting any kind of change. You're only an agent of change as far as chaos causes change. You're an agent of chaos. You're not an agent of change. You're a guy who comes along and says, oh, hey, look how nice and clear this beautiful mountain stream is, and then you jump in it, splash around, and curse the water for being muddy. That's who you are. That's what you do. And you throw around your go with God stuff and the rest of the nonsense, and you talk about God, you reject Christ. You reject Christ openly. You've done it in broadcasts. We'll touch on that too. Because you're a man who's approaching the point, if not already being there. You're approaching the point where you have a seared conscience. And this is a concept in Christianity. It's a concept in the New Testament, which you say you read and caused you to reject God. So that should tell you where you stand in relation to divinity. You claim your experience with God was the result of a DMT trip. You're delusional. You're delusional. Find any point in the Old Testament or New Testament scriptures where God revealed himself to a drunken man, an intoxicated man, or a man on drugs. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So you may have touched with some demonic thing while you were DMT'd, but really what you touched on was your own ego and your own inflated sense of self-importance. And it's because of that megalomania that you possess, in my opinion. You're just a megalomaniac. You think you can do no wrong, and therefore the people you have wronged, you see in your mind as liars or enemies, people who should be attacked. And you have no line where you stop. The things you say are crazy. The things you've written on paper are crazy. So back to, I mentioned Kim Blandino. Chile, if you bring a legal tort action against Kate or anyone else in federal court and you try to represent yourself, you're going to have to go through a competency hearing, which is just going to infuriate you and bring that ugliness out of you. And if a judge or the people or agency that the judge appoints to assess your mental state and your ability to represent yourself, if that comes back with you're not capable of representing yourself, which your recent history shows, you're 0-3 against Kate. She's solidly thumped you. Each time you've been in court, you've failed. An ex parte emergency order you tried to get, didn't get it, failure. Then a hearing with a judge with Kate present, you didn't get your protection order. And now, your third time, retrying shit you've already tried, which just shows that you don't understand the law at all. You failed again. Not only did you fail to get a protection order against Kate, you failed to get a protection order against Josh Abrams. And you say, oh, we're going to take the L and move on. And then your very next broadcast is you in mantra mode, having to reassert all of your nonsense to soothe yourself and reassure yourself that you still believe in your mantra. I've taught apologetics for a long time, over a decade. And I've seen it many, many times with people in the religious arena. When their belief system is like a soap bubble, and if you prick it and it pops, they immediately have to fall back and start vomiting up, regurgitating, vomiting up every single belief they've ever had to reinsure themselves that they still have that belief in them because their soap bubble just got popped. Your belief system is not based in truth, Chile, and it's very, very fragile.
Imagine if you were staying somewhere in Boston. Just imagine you were staying somewhere in Boston. And the person who was stalking you the next morning when you woke up, there's a picture in front of the place that you're staying, and it says, "What a beautiful night in downtown Boston." This is creepy. And she's mentally ill. She's on mandatory medication from the state. She got her 2 kids stripped away from her. She's on mandatory medication from the state. Mandatory medication. This woman is literally mentally ill. And she's posing outside of where I'm sleeping saying, "Look at me." And then I saw her today and she looks terrible. I saw her today. She looks terrible. You have no idea. She looks horrifically bad. I mean, It is so bad. She looks so terrible. You can't even imagine how bad she looks. I mean, she looks really bad. Let me see if I can pull up let me see if I can pull up the video. Do you guys want to see what she looked like today? I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you. She looked really terrible. Hold on one second. I'm gonna airdrop this to my computer. I'm gonna show you what this chick looked like today. She's mentally ill and stalking me. I had to face her. I have no choice. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna fix this, and then I'm going to take her channel out because she's done things that she doesn't know yet what she's done, and I'm not going to announce it here. She's done things that will cause her major problems. Hold on one second. I'm taking me 2 seconds. You're going to see.
Scary. Someone was outside a high-rise building in the middle of a heavy populated city. One of the highest population rates in the United States, Boston. The building you're in, couch surfing again, you're stories high. Nobody can just walk into that building and get in the elevator and go up. So what are you so afraid of? You told everyone where you're staying in your live broadcast, which when you were in court just recently, you completely denied. You completely denied that you give out your location every time you live broadcast. No one's stalking you. No one's tracking you. You know why? Because they don't have to. You give up where you are all the time because you're an attention whore. You're the whore. You're the attention whore. You're the one who's always alone, and your friends, your only friends that any of us have ever seen, are dope fiends. You yourself call that Lloyd character an alcoholic on 2 different broadcasts. You've deleted both of them. One of them I know for sure was on August 4th. The other one was more recently, a week or 2 ago. You said you were at his house in Mexico and he was bumping rails, doing cocaine. You clearly said he was a cocaine abuser. Rail after rail after rail of cocaine. Chile, you don't have friends. You have people who use you. And I think the people you know who have money have only used you in the past for 2 reasons. You're a dog that will go and threaten anyone. And you're a clown. You're a clown. You're court jester to these people who have money. And occasionally they probably throw a little money at you because they feel sorry for you or whatever. But you're entertainment to them. They're watching your videos and laughing about the stupid things that you say and do. I guarantee it. Even Jeff Lloyd laughs at you. And your buddy Zane, look at the video where you're driving with Zane in the car. Look at the video where you're driving with Zane in the car. He's intentionally driving unsafely to spook you because you're a little beta. And you respond like a little grandmother. I don't drive this way. The day before you were in a broadcast and you can hear your car hitting the groove line to signify that you're off the road and you're just looking on your phone, reading chat messages while you live broadcast. Which I think is a violation of the law. Which I think if it was reported to YouTube, all those videos of you driving and broadcasting might get pulled down. You're the scary thing, Chile. You're the one that has potential to hurt people. Kate's not hurting you. Kate's mocking you. Thicken up your skin. You're in public. You want to be a little tender baby, stay private. Don't come out in public. Simple stuff. Talking about defamation, saying things that aren't true, harming a person's reputation. Kate Peter is not on mandatory state medication. It's not. Prove it. You can't. She'd have her children stripped away from her. This is what you're doing. Turtle Boy or Lauren De Laguna or one of those goofballs from that clown show gave you information that you never vetted. You never checked on it. Kate adopted out her 2 older sons. It was a difficult thing for a mother to do. Very difficult. But knowing she didn't have the resources or time or financial wherewithal to raise 4 children, she adopted out the 2 older boys who would probably have benefited and have benefited the most from being adopted out into a family that loved them and had the resources to take care of them. It's a low blow, Chile, going there. It's a low blow. Because all you do is defame people. You don't present facts. You don't know if what you're saying is true or not true. You embellish, you exaggerate, and you just spew vomit. If you look at the flip side of the coin and you look at what Kate's done and what Kate's said, nothing she's ever said about you didn't turn out to be true. Because she's done the research ahead of time. She knows what she's saying before she says it. Her sources, court documents, written things. Your sources are other morons and sensationalists that just say things to get a rise out of people, get attention from themselves, and you repeat it verbatim as though it was truth. You lose again, Chile. And the more you do this stuff to Kate, the worse you look. Because you can mock a guy and you can mock a man's physical appearance, but you don't do that to women. You don't. And even in today's day and age, where our morality has gotten a little vaguer and slipped a little bit, and I mean slipped down, you still don't do that to women. Because it makes you look bad. You're going to take her channel out? Isn't that what you were just supposed to do in court the other day and failed miserably? Go file your federal lawsuit, which you did. You showed shots of it. You showed the envelope on the front. It looks as though you abducted a kindergartner to fill out the envelope. Chile, you don't have the intellectual capacity to do what you're doing. You would have a better chance and gain greater notoriety if you told people you were going to swim from Boston to Ireland. Because even though there's no chance you would ever accomplish that, you still have more physical ability to do that than you do intellectual ability to sue people. So, you're not taking anyone's channel down. You're really not going to, as much as you want to, violate the free speech of American citizens. You're a little tyrant. Nobody can say things about you. Nobody can make fun of you. But you do it. And when you do it, it's just nasty, vile crap. So let's see your nasty, vile crap.
So let me show this to you guys. This is what this woman looked like today. You gotta see what she actually, I mean, you have to actually see what she looked like. I mean, this is, so just take a look at what this chick actually looked like today. When you see what she actually looked like, it was really a scary thing to see because she is mentally ill. It's already been established that she's mentally ill. So I want to show you exactly. So this was Kate today. So do you see her? No, what? Now wait. I'm gonna get close up of her face in a second. I want you to see this person who's on mandatory medication from the state for her children. This is what she looked like. Do you see that? She said some things today that are going to cost her later in court, but I'm not going to give her any clues as to what she said. She said some things today that are going to cost her later. Look at her face. She's definitely methed out. Do you see that face? That's someone who has done too much methamphetamines. I mean, look. I mean, look at her. Does she look healthy to you? If this woman was stalking you outside of your residence, if she was stalking you to your location, wouldn't you have to turn and face this? I mean, look at her. She's terrifying. She looks like a mess. I mean, look at that. She's a mess. She's mess. And she's stalking me. Look at her. She is a hot mess. Look at that. She has major. So just so you guys know, if you haven't been around drugs in Hollywood, and I have been, that's what you look like when you do too many drugs. That's the skin you get. Whether I like it or not. You don't have to like me. That's the skin you get when you do too much speed. That's what causes that. And it's already been proven she has a chemical problem from the state records. She has to be on mandatory medication. Do you see that? You see her face? You see what that is? That's not from acne as a kid. That's from having a major drug look at that.
There's nothing about Kate's physical appearance that would indicate that she has done meth. She may or may not have. I know Kate has a bit of a sordid past, and she's been pretty honest about it. But what you're looking at here is a middle-aged woman. That's it. You're looking at a middle-aged woman who's had 4 children. It's pretty rough on the body. So, that has to be taken into factor. I myself, I have a lot of experience being around people who are using drugs and have habitually used drugs and chronically used drugs. I mean, I see a woman who's, I don't even know how old she is. She's probably in her mid-40s. She stands 5'3", 5'4", and she probably weighs 80 pounds. She was a meth addict. She's a homeless woman. I see her 3 days a week because where I work, I come into contact with her. And I've seen her for 8 to 10 years. So I talked to her. I developed a relationship with her. I give her a little handout here and there, make sure she's eating when I see her, that kind of stuff. I know what crack looks like. I know what meth heads look like. I know what people who have habitually used meth look like. This is not what Kate Peter looks like. Kate Peter doesn't look like a person who even had a substance abuse problem. Now remember, when you watch Lil Chilito's videos, look at the pupils in his eyes. Because they're always pinned. They're always pinned. And Lil Chilito, whether it's legal or not, you're not shy about doing bong hits and smoking dope in front of people. So, Chilito, you're the one that's currently using drugs. You are. Whether they're legal or illegal, you're the one that's currently using drugs. You want to say Kate's mentally ill and blah, 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 and the rest of that nonsense. She suffers from depression. A lot of people do, bro. A lot of people do. And that's not something you mock in a person because it has a direct impact on the state of depression. Kate handles it very well. Very well. At least on the surface. She has a very happy-go-lucky attitude for a person who's been through the nonsense that she's been through. Whether she brought it on herself or whether it was inflicted by others. I realized she was married to a guy who, wasn't the best human being in the world. So, out of bounds again, Chili. This isn't a place you go with a person. You just don't do it. She's recovered. She's turned her life around. You don't do things. You don't say things to people who have had these past problems that could push them into a relapse. And that's all you're doing. You're mocking her. You're mocking her physical appearance. Why? Because she made fun of you because you're a short guy? You're a little short guy who thinks he's a big buff body dude. You worship yourself, Chile. You worship yourself. So, out of bounds again. Out of bounds once again.
She's already admitted, look at her eyes right here. She looks spaced. Look at that. She looks spaced out and cracked out. She looks cracked out. Look at her.
Again, dude, you're just making shit up. She doesn't even look remotely close to being spaced out. You look spaced out when you do broadcasts. Look at your eyes, Chile. Go back and look at any of your own videos, Lil Chilito, and look at your own eyes. That's what spaced out looks like. Kate does not look spaced out at all. What she looks like is that she's a little perturbed that this 5'4" guy who claims to be so afraid of her, and yet you're following her down the road and antagonizing her. Why'd you mute the audio, Chile? Why'd you mute the audio? To cover up the things you were saying to attempt to instigate her, and to cover up her responses because your friend Lauren De Laguna, in her drive to show Kate as a less than attractive person, released the video, a portion of the same video with the audio, and none of the things you said about Kate yelling and screaming and acting wild, none of that is true. You're a liar. You fabricate. Just like the voicemails, the hate voicemails you left for yourself, which Irish Demon and Team Skeptic very ably debunked. It wasn't hard to debunk it, and you were going to use that as evidence in your attempt to get a protection order against Kate. But the community ruined that for you. So you had to go and make up a different evidence video, which you lied in court about that video. You're lucky you didn't show that video, because you would have proved yourself a liar. And we'll put that together in a broadcast very soon. Again, she doesn't even look remotely close to spaced out or cracked out. That's just you projecting and hoping that your little, what's rule number 27 of your 48 rules of power? Create a cult-like following. What's a cult, Chili? A cult is an organization where the leader cannot be questioned. So you're just feeding them information that's not true, that you made up, that as the cult leader, no one's allowed to question you. You're a mentally ill person, Chili. Mentally ill. File your federal tort lawsuit so that you can get a competency hearing, because you're going to have to go through a competency hearing before the federal court will allow you to represent yourself. And you ought to go over, Chili, Lil Chilito. You ought to go over to Law Talk with Mike, or go over to Our Nevada Judges and to look at the Kim Blandino videos, who, by the way, got a very light sentence when he was convicted of harassing a judge, and now is back in court a few months later for a probation violation. You guys just can't walk straight. You can't do it. you have to, for some insane reason, shoot yourself in the foot and blame other people for it.